Debra Wallace, licensed marriage and family therapist. I have created this Pause and Process series as a trauma-informed provider and survivor. Now I like to say thriver. I know firsthand how overwhelming and overstimulating this world can be, and how vital it is that we create time and space to pause and process thoughts, feelings, sensations, events that are happening within us and around us, so that we can minimize and the more we do it, prevent a buildup of stress, toxins, and trauma that then creates long-lasting effects on our minds, our bodies, our spirits, our nervous system, our relationships, and our society and world as a whole. So I wanted to create this as a opportunity to pause and process and role model what that looks like. Now, originally I was going live at lunchtime to encourage people to do that. I do have quite a few. You'll hear more about that. Yet I personally had to take a break from these, as I needed to take a really big pause in my life, because the personal reason that I started doing these videos is, for one, I have always had this calling to want to speak and to share and express so much. And specializing in trauma, as I mentioned, trauma really is any event that happens too much, too fast, too soon for our unique nervous system. And then when you have no safe place or relationship to help process, express, and make sense of that, then that's when I was talking that we have these physical symptoms. We get sick. We have so many. We can't function properly. There's a there's an effect, a negative impact on our neurophysiological processes throughout. And so personally, I have been doing so much, and throughout my life I kind of always had this knowing that I just wanted to speak more, and I get to do that in my practice, and I love my job, but I want to go express more. But I was also I've been caretaking my mother, who has many illnesses and ailments, and also has endured immense trauma that I've witnessed, and she ended up transitioning. And so at this time, while I held her hand in ICU and I had been caretaking her, and then I was left, I've been living in her home and dealing with everything in her home, and the grief. I'll talk a lot about my grief, and then going through 81 years of her stuff, that was so overwhelming. So I really wanted this space to help process. And then collectively as a world, we have gone through a pandemic, which is huge for our nervous system. It's just huge. So much has happened during those times that I don't think many have stopped to really reflect and process. And also, there are 2 wars going on in our world. There's a huge administration wars going on and change, and there's just events all over the world that impact us in massive ways. And we need to pause and process. And so, as I was mentioning, the personal reason is I created it and wanted to go live and do these events, but I also knew I needed to take care of myself. So now that I wasn't taking care of my mother, I had chose to raise my children in New Zealand, and so things had was flowing, and so I chose to return to New Zealand to take care of myself. And with that came many appointments with my healthcare providers that I've had here, and it was found that I have breast cancer. So I did do a positive reframe where I go into more detail and personal experience about my positive reframe on that diagnosis. But in a nutshell, as scary as cancer is, I'm using this as an opportunity to really take care of myself, really listen to my body, really give myself permission to be me. And I do believe that cancer is here to encourage me very firmly to live my fullest, most authentic life. And that is where I'm going. I'm gonna, I think there's this narrative of fighting cancer. And again, everybody's different. There's no right or wrong. For me, and I do a lot of, I'm trained in a lot of therapy approaches, and I'm really a fan of IFS, internal family systems, and self-compassion. And I really going to befriend this experience, and really I am listening to my body. And in fact, so when I do these pause and process, what I usually do is I talk for the first 15 minutes where I share antidotes, I share something about my life, things that I've witnessed, experienced, something relevant to what's going on, a topic. And then the latter half, which is usually 15 minutes, then I walk through some sort of mindfulness practice, somatic experiencing, or meditation. And I will say that I am not trained in meditation. So there are so many amazing, like if you YouTube, Google meditations, there are so many. I recommend going to a local yoga studio and practice meditation. There's so much benefit to meditation. But I was just, even though I walk through meditation, that's not my training. My training is trauma and master's in human development. So I work with what looks like normal human development and what happens when we've experienced trauma. And my gift is to be able to hold people's hands through the most horrific, difficult things in life, over and over again, until they feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure. And that's what I do. And so I will walk us through a centering meditation. And I chose the centering meditation because actually one of my favorite YouTube meditation leaders is, it's called Mindful Movement. I share the link with all my clients, but since my mother's health issues had gotten worse and worse and worse, and I mean, I listen to this mindful movement meditations once to twice a day, and I have since that time period. I'll take some breaks, but that voice, her voice, really resonates with me, and I always encourage anybody to find their person that resonates with them. So I encourage you to listen to that. But I had listened this morning. I listened to, I believe it was turning in. I can't remember the exact name of the meditation, but I am really sitting with all my feelings. And although I'm such an advocate of self-care and I already do so much self-care, I also take in so much trauma. I mean, that's my job. I'm constantly taking in people's trauma, and as well as I have my own that is still parts of me. And I'm very sensitive, and there's in tune to things, so I feel everything very deeply. And so even though I have a amazing self-care routine, we do have to adjust and tweak and listen, and maybe we need more. And so I'm really giving myself permission to sit with my feelings. And so when I did this meditation this morning, it was wonderful. One of the things was listen to your body. What is your body saying to you? And what I clearly heard was respect your body. And that's what came up for me. And so I'm actually going to walk. So when I was figuring out what exercise I wanted to do for this pause and process, and I love that this specific the centering meditation helps you come up with your own compassionate phrase that just comes organically from your own mind, body, and spirit. And I help walk through that so that you can anchor in a phrase or a word anytime when you're dealt with overwhelming and disturbing events. And again, and you may have a few. I actually have quite a few phrases that I use that kind of tailor to each event, but this respect your body that came out just really landed, and I rolled with it even more throughout my morning, and just more came from it and gave me insight, and it was really useful. So that is what I'm going to walk you through. And so I'm going to take a breath. As I just said all that, that's a lot to share. Every time I say out loud that I have cancer I feel that, and I'm allowing myself to feel that. And I can show up here in this brave space and face And just be assured that there are many moments and times in the day where I'm processing mixed emotions and feelings and using all my resources and tools that I have to help me process, because I do know the only way through is through, and that is what I'll keep doing. So taking another breath in, it's really important that when you breathe, you take a few conscious deep breaths, because usually our first will be a little shallow because we're doing things, we're busy. And also, before I go on, it's really important that you feel comfortable and safe to do this exercise. And even if you do feel comfortable and safe, I also want to give permission that maybe just listen to my words without actually really getting into your body and doing it, so that you can get a sense. Because I talk a lot about our nervous system, and our nervous system will get activated to fight or flight, a sympathetic stress response, even if it's something that's good for you, because it's foreign, it's unfamiliar, it's new. And so it's really important that you feel comfortable with doing this exercise, that you feel safe. And it's also, in any point in healing or learning new skills, having a sense of power and control is vital. And so having agency and consent is important in everything, no matter how old you are, young you are. Everyone deserves to feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure, and that they have the right to say no. Because powerlessness, whew, that's a whole other talk. So, as I invite you to get comfortable, and if you want to just listen, you can keep, doing the dishes, do something else, do whatever you need to do if you just want to listen. But as I mentioned, this centering meditation that we will do is to discover a compassionate phrase to help you with any current difficult situations you might be going through. So, sitting comfortably, and if you feel comfortable to close your eyes, do so. If not, that's okay. There's no right or wrong. Everybody is different. Take a few deep breaths. Notice your posture. If you are sitting, or you could choose to lay down if you want. And feel the sensations in your body. If you feel any physical discomfort, gently touch it with your awareness. If you have emotional distress, notice it and let it be there. And that just really simply means, like, I noticed that I was holding my toes up on the floor, and so I just lowered them. I noticed that. Set it down, and so I gave some attention to my toes and my feet. If you have an ache somewhere, just notice it. I have an ache in my neck or my back. And breathe. I'm feeling anxious, worried, distracted. Just notice that and let it be. And then now place one or two hands on your chest as a gentle reminder that you are giving yourself loving, nurturing attention. Feel the warmth in your hands, the gentle pressure, the rhythmic rising and falling of your chest as you breathe. Keep paying attention to your breathing. As you breathe, let your awareness move deeply into your experience of breathing. Just continue to breathe. Open your awareness to the space between your out breath and your in breath. Feel that space. Let your awareness drop into that space between your out breath and your in breath. And for some, and then sometimes this is easier than not to do this, and that's it's flows when that can do that. However, sometimes it may be challenging for us to listen and get into the space between our breath. And if that is the case, just notice that. Let whatever is coming in float away like a cloud in the sky. It's completely normal and natural that mind may wander and other thoughts may come up or distractions. And then go back. Bring your attention to your gentle pressure of your hand on your chest and your breathing, and feel that breath. And just as that in-breath originates out as seemingly like nowhere, out of nowhere, I want you to see if your thoughts can also emerge from this deep and quiet, invisible space. As you're sitting with this space in between your in and out breath, feeling the faintest of movements and this sense of peace and freedom, are there any thoughts that emerge from this quiet space? And when you're ready, listen for any words that may bubble up. Open yourself up to a word or a phrase that might be just what you need to hear right now. If a word or a phrase were to appear from the bottom of your heart, what would it be? And take a few minutes to do this. If you want to rest your hands down in your lap, you may. Listen to your body. Breathe, relax, open yourself to words that might bubble up from deep inside. If no words arise, just stay with your breath. If a few words arise, roll them over in your mind and select one that's perfect for you in this time in your life. Some possibilities might be love, let it be, I love you, yes, trust, peace, forgiveness. When you have a word or phrase, allow yourself to savor it. Let it seep into your mind, your body, your spirit. Notice how good it feels, how nurturing it feels, how it lands on your nervous system. If you notice your mind wanders, bring it ever so gently back to the word or words. After a while, let go of what you're doing and simply just be with your your inner experience, letting yourself just be who you are as you are in this moment. It's so important to notice what's coming up with compassion, non-judgment, and curiosity whenever you can. And slowly open your eyes when you feel ready. And just kind of do a check-in, how this meditation felt for you. I'm hoping it brought some more peace, ease, and light into your mind, body, spirit, and nervous system. It's okay if it didn't. Even good things, as I mentioned, they can be uncomfortable at first, and you might not experience that. It's so important to meet yourself where you're at and listen to what helps. The tricky bit is also doing what's good for us. It's not always the most fun, and it's not the most comfortable thing. Yet in the long run, it will serve you, which is why I really wanted to do this series to really role model ways that we can do this. Um, give ourselves space to pause and process. That could be simple, playful, pleasant. Because we do need it. If you don't, your health will suffer, your well-being will suffer mentally, physically, emotionally, your relationships will suffer. And I'm trained in systems, and so systems means like how you are and how you interact, who you are, and how you interact in all the systems affects the well-being of every system you interact with, just as much as every system affects your well-being. And so the one that you have the most control of is your own internal system. And so it's so important to give yourself some time to connect so that you may listen to your fears, your cares, your needs, and make decisions and choices and create rhythms in your life that create a sustainable connection to yourself and rhythm in your life so that you may be your best secure self. It is so important that if any disturbing memories or it was anything too overwhelming, too much for you came up as you did this meditation, that is an indicator that you would benefit from seeking out more resources, especially professional guidance, to help you process what's underneath more disturbing emotions and feelings. Because it's really important that we make time for this, yet it makes sense if it's too uncomfortable that you don't want to do it. Yet that doesn't mean you don't need to do it. It means you need to find safe outlets to help you process, express, and make sense of what's happening inside of you. So I please encourage, I'm obviously a fan of therapy. It doesn't have to be, a therapist, but it's so important that you seek support from someone you trust to help you process anything that was disturbing and overwhelming. As my videos are for educational purposes only, and I have a disclaimer, and it's so important that you seek professional help if you need that. I really appreciate you listening, and I would also appreciate if you follow, share, if anything, if this helps or resonates, and leave comments for any future topics you'd like to hear about. Take wonderful.